Graduation. Like a chair or something.
I know. Yeah. That very warm dust, where they're sweeping all of those verbs and then painting it. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll let you yeah, I was concerned with the schools. I don't even talk about that. Yeah.
Do you have, is your internet working? Yeah. I need to know the first day of the semester. I think it was August 25th.
It's August 25th. I just put it on all the kids'
So
reports.
that means the 27th was the first month.
Yeah. So you're sitting. Stand up. Okay.
Code for straight through.
What are you in?
Word.
Nice.
I can figure this out. Okay. Also, just click on help and author. Just type the word. I'll just go. Okay. Sophie is spring 2013.
Yeah.
Did she actually do graduate intern stuff, or was?
Yeah, and she worked in our London program.
No, I know that, but was she a graduate
Yeah, she was an intern in the dorms.
this semester?
No, we haven't had
They don't know.
That's what I thought. Yeah, they don't know who she is.
They had her at networking night.
Yeah.
No, what are you doing back there?
Don't ask what you don't want to know. this is the only place where there's an outlet.
circuits now. Do you want me to check?
Yeah.
In the email that you sent today, there's no link to the live stream.
Yeah, you're right.
We're watching ourselves.
Whoa.
Whoa! Inception. We're literally watching ourselves watching the live stream.
And also, there's extra people watching the live stream. They're watching us watching ourselves. Us watching. Yeah.
There you go. I really.
Wait.
People not see.
Wait, where are you?
I think it's just come up here, sit in, fill it up here. Yeah, and we have one per family for those. Yeah. I just sent you an update. Oh, great. I don't know. Really?
Oh,
No.
that's not helpful.
Hello, how are you?
Wearing an imprint, you know.
Oh, so good. Yes. It's very well. I think, yeah,
Oh, sure. Oh, we really appreciate it. Yeah, it's the very nice to be able
I want to give hugs, but everybody's wet. Good to see you. We want to fill in these first few seconds. So.
Well, thank you.
We had everything, you know, we were set up like that.
Well, tell them thank you for schedule.
Oh.
It's definitely worth it from our point of view. Jen, how are you? Nice to see you. Good to see you. Congratulations on making it. Thank you. Very exciting. The ceremony. Just like the rain coming down.
No, it's worse.
Oh, is it worse out there?
Yeah. If it's really coming down
This
now.
is, speaking of blessings, the old church with the new roof.
That's every roof on the campus has now been replaced since 4 years ago. I think.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yet that'll
But
be
it's- yeah.
good for you.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. This is the last one.
Good stuff. Good
So
stuff.
now you can do consulting.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now I can take a vacation.
That's baby.
Good. She's sitting up by herself. She's on her food. So she has a tendency to get up. Up with the kids and alter that. I feel like this is becoming an adult, part because I'm a father, but part because now I'm so, how are you?
Just changed. It's like, what's so real? Ready for Christmas.
All right.
She said,
Well, that's usually a good indicator that she's having a good time.
So, yeah, I hear
Yes. Yes.
but it seems like she said she's going to work harder. So, but they didn't have their phones for 2 weeks. And it made
Part of it was purchased a bunch of phones or something, music, so we got Spotify subscriptions on their phones, and all these things seem so absurd, but it took probably 90% of the stress away. A lot of things came up in personal lives. This is my own theory. It used to be all in time. Just sort of self-soothe phones, but there's no phone. Talk to somebody about it. So and it was not see.
It's amazing. You can see they just all, they're all back. Yep, what I heard some studies on. I see.
Yeah.
The one that I did some stuff is brainwash people.
That's what it is. Look at right?
But it's like that spinning thing, right?
Yeah.
In the TV3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her mind just wants to look at it. So we
So bad.
screens. Every once in a while, I want to see how this game is. It's important.
Yeah.
And that,
I just said it's actually.
That's why they start going crazy. It's all that conditioning. Everybody is conditioned. So you're doing a reconditioning here. Everything's like conditioning. Phones on. Right? Station. Just sitting there. Every person says, oh, yeah, well, it's like, these people are, it's amazing. It's walking along the street.
So,
shoot somebody. Oh, it's only this one. Anyway. All right, well, I'm gonna just get things a little bit more together. But no. Hey.
It's kind of around in the back.
I think that these were.
Yeah.
It really was just.
Was it just a few? Yeah,
There's just a couple of them.
it, well, this won't hurt because tomorrow we'll have people in my fire row sitting in these chairs, so I might as well go on and do it for them. Yeah. How are you this morning?
A little tired, but.
And there's still. Anyway, yeah.
I know why.
Us, of us in particular.
I'm sure like stay. Are you teaching series next semester? It so happens the building blocks which I have slightly different influence series. They're going as stacking blocks. So it's basically put a block here, put a block here. Yeah, and eventually goes over. And effectively, so it is an infinite series. Believe it or not, in theory, if you go out to the view, it's going to go stuff like it takes a long time. But it is infinite. It is. It's interesting because another way of explaining it is if you put a block over here, you have to make sure the center of the block has to stay over.
So it's building out directions.
Well, what you do is you go really high. You have enough up, then like. But it's actually it's a classic. It's a classic. Yeah, like I said, I have the blocks. I just bought the real one. You could just stack it. And actually, there are others. There are actually other ones that go in the opposite directions. It's actually worse what happens if you go in both directions. I'll have to, like I said, I kind of remember. Like I said, it's about. It's like basically it's sort of like and the other issue with blocks it's like the last block. I have one block here. The last block is almost so it's almost half a block. But those two blocks can't be like so I think it goes like a half. It actually goes in.
So this one, center of the mass.
Center of mass stays straight, but it only goes. Well, you're actually don't do this. Well, there's sort of like goes mostly straight up, and then it goes out. Like I said, it's actually it's a fun thing. We have because you do like geometric series, metric series, positive series.
And the absence of
Yeah.
or a number of blocks.
Like I said, I'll show you some. So, like I said, it actually fits into. Like I said, it fits into. It's another thing. I do not have one. So you make it gonna be I know this is gonna I think everyone sort of like gets to know everyone. And it's all the individuals. And I'm not even sure. Even though the differences are It's hard to. It was good. But again, if we do this, obviously, Reno was the last was the same. So the question is, how old?
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the final day of the fall 2018 semester of the School of Practice and Global Leadership. Welcome indeed to what I think is the end of your child's beginning. My name is Noah. I'm SEGL's founder at the school. I am convinced that after this terrific semester, each and every one of
may not seem that way when you trip home this afternoon. Because they're tired and sad. But each one of them is remarkably compelling and possesses a singular spirit. Coming weeks and months, I am certain that we recognize more and more. So welcome to our parents' family meeting. Our agenda is as follows. We start by introducing ourselves to each other. I want to say a few words about academics. I want to say a few words about social venture projects that we make about. I want to say a few words about college. I want to say a few words about ways that you can stay involved with us. And then I want to offer a few thoughts about what students might be needing right now and in the next few days and weeks. And of course, if you have any questions, take them. If you don't have one of these graduation guides, you have enough for one per family or size of the family. Extra ones that can help. So let's start out. So, okay, let me hear all right. I'm not using my mouse. I need to. Let's introduce ourselves. That's all right. I recognize some faces from the previous semester. So maybe we can start here with Christian and work our way back and around like this. And if you can just say your name and the child with whom you are affiliated, that would be great.
And you know, my name is Christian Starling. I'm affiliated with all the children of the team, and English team.
I'm Ms. Ranger, I'm Vice Chair.
I'm Vernon. I'm the Director of Communications and Partnerships, and I help teach them. Mariah Ruby. I'm the Associate Head for External Affairs and I teach French. Tate Giblin, from Giblin's Mom, Massachusetts. Susan Rothwell, my son is Zach.
Jim Rothwell.
I'm Dina Haley, and I'm my daughter Parker.
Hi, Mark Watson, and Molly's our daughter.
Yep, and I'm Kyle Watson. My name is Kenny, and I'm just saying that things that are just.
I am the Upperville's mom. Lori, George,
I'm Joe Tower, the other Jack from Seattle.
I'm Tom Ballard, also Zach. I'm David Kirkland, Jackson, Ross.
Hi, I'm Teresa Sanko, Dave Harpo's auntie. Hi, I'm Michelle Nixon, and I'm Dave Harpo's mom. I'm Mark Meyer, and I'm Philip's mom.
There's the plot, Nigel's dad. He's the dad.
I'm Mike Michelson, math teacher.
Alvin Friday, science teacher who is now an affiliate.
students.
Welcome, and let me just note that the students are all going to speak without a microphone this morning, and so there's plenty of space closer up. So if you don't want to work too hard with your ears, you have the back of the city in the first row of the pews here, but the second row is wide open. So you can do what you want, but note that. All right, first item here. Graduation guide that discusses academics. I want to remind you that before the semester began, we sent home surveys to your child as a teacher. Language class, science class, math class. And in those surveys, we said, where should your child be by the end of the first semester here? Some of those teachers were a little more forthcoming than others with that information. But vast majority of it, and everything we could to make sure that your child is supposed to. If you have any questions about that, if you are nervous, please don't hesitate to contact your advisor, Christian, our academic team. This is a really important part of what we do. We cannot keep doing what we do. So if you're worried for any reason, you let us know. Also want to let you know that in the next couple of weeks, you will receive an official transcript and grades and comments from the on top. These are intended to be grades that are reported on the transcript, although the child school may do that in a particular way. If you have any questions about that, please do let us know. Your child is full credit for the semester, so don't worry about that. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about the social venture capstone project. All the students do 3 capstone projects during this semester. They present ethical credo to their classmates. They complete a collaborative policy document with their classmates, and they also design a social venture project that is intended to be created and launched in their home community when they return home. And the line I want you to focus on here is the first line in the 4th paragraph under the social venture capstone. Please remember that this is your child's project. It's not anyone else's responsibility to ensure it's successful, nor should it be. Launching something new involves challenges and failure. Failure can be a great teacher. Students know this. You're welcome, of course, to parent however you want. But support is great. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's okay. There is a support structure here at SEGL and in the graduate community that I would encourage you to remind your child of. Please stand down a little bit. This is your child's project, and we hope it will be one that is a fair amount of work, but also meaningful and succeed. A few words about college. Just getting some early decisions right now from the last year. Very exciting for a lot of students and exciting and sad and frustrating for others. There's some information about our past college tribulations. Interested there. We want to note that most of our kids do not go to the most frequently attended SEGL schools. The goal is to have the best fit, not most prestigious fit. While your child was here, she or he received 2 group of college counseling sessions from you, and also 2, is that right, Christian? College counseling sessions from Dr. Ellis, who's our consultant college counselor. And later on this year, I know there was a parent electronic session that she had scheduled and made something later on this year, that she'll offer if you are interested in that. But they had plenty second meeting with me, they got a list of 10 schools that have nothing to do with SAT or ACT scores and nothing to do with GPA, and have everything to do with a college counseling survey that they filled out at the first college counseling meeting. The goal there is to give them a list of schools, some of which they've heard of, some of which they may not have heard of, but all of which have values and characteristics that they indicated that they want. That's a very different list than the list that they might get from a college or guidance counselor that does take into account test scores and GPAs and things like that. But just another data point for your child to have and to have questions about I will also say that just because your child is graduating does not mean that there's not many more opportunities to get college counseling assistance from us. Phone call, video conference, child's advisor, we do that all the time. And sometimes we even do video conferences and calls just with the parents. And so if you're interested in doing that, don't feel nervous as to what my child says, that's possibly right. Happy to do that as well. Free with your paid tuition, as we like to say. Ways to get involved on the last sheet. A few different options here. One or none or all of them. Number one, you can assist in our college process. After the semester is over, if you felt that this was a good experience for your child, taking the time to contact the school administrator who made that possible really helps us out. Say this was meaningful. I know it's a lot to give up this child and other children for a full semester. It was worth it to my daughter or to my son. Every year there are prospective families. Some of them were you last year. Who aren't quite sure what this semester program is that the child just said it wants to go to. And it's great and it sounds good, but wouldn't it be nice to talk to another parent, maybe from a background that is easy for you to relate to, or a background that's very different. Now you have all been through this experience, and you would like to be that parent as a resource for prospective families. Please contact Maria. That is particularly valuable. And then you may have new schools, new programs that would be good for us to hear about, and letting us know that as well. We're always looking to be more geographically diverse, more ideologically diverse, diverse in lots of different ways. Another way you can help us is to suggest guest speakers. Something we did that this semester. Sometimes it works out, sometimes you have to postpone it to a future semester. But if you come across someone, you hear them or are connected to them, suggesting a guest speaker is really valuable. Third way to help is to give us some feedback at the end of the semester. I know today a lot of people are really positive, but wait a month or two and see how that transition goes. See if everything was as promised. See if there's some things that came up later on that the sort of rosy glow of today did not show. We've got some prompting questions there. And over the course of the next few months, you have a few minutes to sit down and send us some notes and feedback. That would be terrific. Another way you can support us is financial support. We are able to provide such an incredible student body, in large part because we have generous parents. Generous parents who give at all levels. What's often important when talking to a major donor is knowing that we have a huge percentage of our parents and a huge percentage of our graduates yeah, many of you have already given this semester. Thank you for that. We're interested in hearing about any of the particular donation destinations, the phase 2 renovations, for example, our residents are changing another program which used to increase our scholarship budget through multi-year gifts. He's talked to me, he's talked to Ray, he's talked to Liz, board, and making any level makes a huge difference. Okay, those are some ways to say it. So this morning, the kids were a little bleary-eyed, a little bit sad, and also lots of energy that comes from those emotions. And I asked them anonymously to write down on a 2x5 card what they might be needing from their families right now. And so they've written down a few things. You can take this with a grain of salt. See if there might be some contradictions in here. This is what they wrote. I want to read this to you now and then see if you have any questions about anything we talked about or anything we haven't talked about. I need space and time. I need space. I need sleep and time to call my SEGL. Ask me all the questions you can think of. Help me to digest and reflect on my SEGL experience. Don't ask me a million questions. Unless you can tell that I want you to. I need support and I need a distraction. I'd like the uninhibited opportunity to monopolize the living room of watching Harry Potter and Ron. Many thanks. I need a life-size cutout of Mike Michelson. I could really go for some alone time. I want my parents to know that I'm on their team, and I want to be able to apply what I've learned without fear of being stupid or aggravated. Let's grow. Thank you to my entire family for supporting me, no matter where you are. Children. Before we bring those children in, I'm wondering if anybody has any questions about anything that I said or unsaid. Yes.
The capstone project is there, and they're leaving. What is the communication back from students in terms of what they finished? Is there a date they've set, like a deadline? Like, I really don't know anything about it.
Yeah, so all of them have written a business plan for this venture. And we have worked with them to try and ensure that what they have put forward is manageable given where they are in their business group. Some of them are against that, and they're maybe a little bit more ambitious than they might be, but great. But they have a business plan, and that business plan includes some next steps. So you're really, and right, there's not a, by this date, all SEO graduates must have accomplished this. Some of them are going to get started on it already. Some of them are going to wait until after the next SAT essay. And some of them, it's something that they're really working on for their senior year. Some of them, it's something that they're working on outside of school. So it really does, our goal is to support whatever it is that they can for their schedule, for their goals. And sorry to debate about that, but that's thing to do is to ask for a long lunch. But other questions? Good. So we're getting close to 10:30. Let me tell you the way that this is going to work. Again, for those of you who are sitting in the back, I want to make sure you know that there's plenty of room up here at the front, and that we're going to be unmiked today. Staff will not sit in the queues because our faculty will be sitting up there. But in a few minutes, the students will walk in through the front door. They will sit up here, with chairs on the platform, and one It's worth mentioning that the records are.
But it was so cool.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll ask the streamers, you know, the folks that want. Much easier to go to. This is what we want.
Live stream, hey, Mom.
I think it was 2 years ago. I did say. We those have this working?
We'll start in just a couple of seconds. On top of the arguments and microphones, folks who are listening online and who are back. All right, good morning and welcome to the graduation ceremony for the class of fall 2018 at the School for Ethics and Global Leadership. My name is Noah Bott. I'm SEGL's head of school. If you have a smartphone, if you could silence it now, that would be terrific. The exits are toward the back and the side, and the restrooms are behind me to my left. As we begin our ceremony, I want to welcome and acknowledge SEGL Board Vice Chair Liz Ranger. Thank you very much for being here today. I want to acknowledge the SEGL graduates who are in the audience today. I also want to say hello to Robin Bellows, who's one of our founding faculty members from the very, very olden days. Thank you for being here, Robin. Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention. A kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold this swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the port of Mars, while his heels leashed in like hounds should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon, gentles all, flat, unraised spirits that have dared upon this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object. Should this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France, or may we cram within this wooden air, oh, the very casks that did affright the arid Agincourt? Oh. And let us on your imaginary forces work. Think when we talk of horses that you do see them preaching their proud hosts. Tis your thoughts that must now deck our kings, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass, for the which supplied in me chorus to this history, who prologue-like your humble patience pray, gently to hear and kindly to judge our play. Shakespeare gave those words to his chorus at the beginning of Henry V, and I gave those words to you at the close of our first morning meeting on August 27th. In that speech, Shakespeare tells his audience, this is just a stage. This is just a set. These are just actors. These are just costumes. If you want this performance to be any good, you must use your imagination. You must use your heart. You must use your mind. You must believe in our shared endeavor. The same, of course, is true of SEGL. If you want your semester in DC to be successful, you must use your imagination, your heart, your mind. You must believe in our shared endeavor. We, your teachers, are honored that in the past 4 months, each one of you has used your imagination, your heart, and your mind to its fullest extent. Each one of you has believed in our shared endeavor, and I have no doubt that each of you is ready to change our world. Our ceremony today is simple. Each member of our student body and faculty will be given the opportunity to share a few words, and then we will eat lunch and say farewell. Each student will receive a graduation certificate as well as a memento from our graduates, welcoming them into the graduate community. This is a tradition started by our first class in 2009 and continued with appreciation by all 2009 parent and current trustee Allison Capper. Sophie Mervis from spring 2013 will carry this tradition forward. The gift is an SEGL backpack. We hope it helps you carry your SEGL experience with you wherever you may travel. And now on to our ceremony. Our first student to speak is Molly Austin.
Hello, everybody. I was just recently told I was going to be the first one to speak, but I'm going to make you out just a little bit. So, If there's one thing that I really took away from this semester, it's that sometimes one day at SEGL feels like 100 days. It's honestly endless, and it can get a little bit exhausting. Just to give one example of this, towards the beginning of the semester, probably sometime during the first month, we started off, this was a Wednesday, the day that we allot to only ethics and leadership. So we started off the day by going to the Rwandan embassy as a part of our case study on the Rwandan genocide. We followed that by going to books and basketball at an elementary school where we read to kids and then play basketball. We then went to the Argentinian embassy for an art opening in Spanish class and spoke almost only Spanish. And then on the walk home from the metro, we met Bernie Sanders. Yeah, well, some of us didn't get that experience, but sorry guys. So this kind of just, in my mind, is the perfect example of what a day at SEGL truly is like. And you may think, oh, that's just one handpicked day, they can't all really be like that. Wrong, they are. I could come up with 10 different examples of a day just like that. But I think it really goes to show how much time everyone, including the faculty, puts into planning these days for us in order for us to truly get the best possible experience we can in the short time that we are here. So I want to thank all the faculty for doing that and for making those kind of days possible. Also want to thank my parents because they are the reason that I'm here and they are the reason that I get to experience things like those. And then I want to thank everyone that went through with me, even if you weren't there when we met Bernie Sanders. You were there through everything else. So thank you so much.
Zachary Luke Bowder.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Seattle. When I first came to SEGL, I wasn't very confident in myself. Whenever there was a group setting, I would wait until pretty much everyone else had spoken, and then I would speak. And it'd only really be a few words, and I wasn't as invested as other kids. But because of SEGL, the program itself, of developing yourself into an ethical leader, and faculty and peers, I can say with confidence that I am a leader, and I believe in myself, and I'm confident now. So thank you all who have, thank you to all of you who have helped me. And thank you, Mom and Dad, for coming here.
Alexa Adams.
SEGLites, families, friends of the SEGL community. It doesn't seem that long ago when I was standing in the entrance of West in 80-degree weather welcoming you all into your new home. It's hard for me to conceptualize how suddenly we're here on the final day of your SEGL semester. This semester, I've had a lot of, wow, I can't believe this is my job kind of moments. Some of these moments came from being escorted through the Hart Building with a group of you to a new part of the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings, or from sitting at the kitchen table late into the night with some of you who were having an intense and thought-provoking conversation about the power and use of words and language, or from returning home after crisscrossing the country for admissions and feeling the toll of the travel until I walked through the front door and was instantly greeted by your warmth and energy. Occasionally, this type of moment takes a slightly different tone, like when I was woken up in the middle of the night just screaming in one of the dorms, only to find a room full of boys standing on nightstands in their beds, scanning the room for an insect visitor. But those kinds of moments are typically few and far between. These moments are what bring purpose, challenge, and fun to my work. And I think that I've had more of these moments in one semester than I could have ever anticipated. I feel incredibly fortunate to be a part of such a vibrant, enthusiastic, and driven community. And this community would not exist if it weren't for the 23 of you. Now, I'm sure that you are all experiencing a wide variety of emotions: sadness to say goodbye, excitement to return home, nostalgia for the semester. And it's true that after today, it won't be the same as it has been in these past 4 months. But remember that this is part of what makes the semester school experience so special. It's time for you to return home and to give SEGL over to the next group of students, but remember what you learned here. from your peers, from your teachers, and from yourselves. And know that the fall 2018 SEGL semester will forever be uniquely yours, and that each of you is now rooted here in the shared experience for the rest of your lives. Best of luck in your future endeavors, and thank you so much for all that you've been doing.
So when I first came here and saw everyone in the room at orientation day, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get to know all these people. There are so many people. And I think that over the semester, I've really gotten to know everyone here, and everyone here is so unique. And you can see that in their intelligence, in their personality. I'm really thankful for that. And I'm also thankful for all the amazing things that SEGL provided for us. And all the fun things that we did. I know one day for exercise period, which is an hour after school each day, you cannot sign out anywhere unless, only for the sole purpose of exercising. And a group of us signed out to the Senate building and we're like, we're only gonna be here for 4 months. So I think that was one experience that was just really fun, and just roaming the halls and really enjoying the opportunity to be right across from the Capitol building. Jogging around the Capitol being like, oh my goodness, and taking pictures by the Christmas tree are just moments that I will always cherish. And I'd like to thank the SEGL faculty, because they're truly an amazing group of people that really care about our education and our well-being. And I'd like to thank my parents who made it possible for me to come here and supported me throughout everything, and the rest of my family, my friends back home as well. And Noah Bach, the founder of the school, because without him, none of us would be here. And none of the other amazing SEGL graduates or future SEGLists would be here as well. So I'd just like to thank everyone who contributed to making this semester such an amazing time for me and for everybody else here.
So I was trying to come up with an anecdote to sum up our semester, and what I came up with was recently we all took a trip at 5:30 a.m. to the Supreme Court to see a case. And not only did we wait outside for hours, but I also slept in the back of a bush so that I could lean back on, and that experience, I have to say, I would probably cherish the several hours we spent sitting outside in the freezing cold weather, all talking and laughing, more than I will cherish hearing RBG ask a question in the case. And I'm just so grateful to have been able to spend these past 4 months with such amazing people, and to have learned so much from all of the individuals around me.
Shizuha Hattori.
One of the perks of being an RA is that I share some of living spaces with students. This means that waking up to stop the alarm, piercing through my eardrums, in my sleep, I repeat that, in my sleep, past midnight, set up by the Halloween decoration, and then the peculiar artwork made out of cardboard swayed by the breeze of somebody's footsteps because they needed to brush their teeth. Discovering students' hoarder tendency to keep stacks of cups in their room upstairs, or being surprised by the rain of wet socks slipping through the safety net that was made out of bed sheets willingly donated by one of the students that we have in CERN that they use for the infamous silent softwares that happens past midnight. Among these fun moments we had at the residence, the most amazing experience I was lucky enough to have was that I got to see how they embrace their learning in their actual lives. When I woke up in the morning, the first thing I saw was a student making tea for another student using his own mugs because he wanted to act on what he believed our community should look like. When one student wasn't feeling well after check-in time, it was a group of students who took care of him, getting faculties upstairs, getting him water, and staying right by his side until he was feeling better. The sleepy eyes during the day and quick naps in academic building are not the embodiment of their hesitance to commit to their academic lives here at SEGL. It's because they care and they make priorities based on what they believe. When they thought there might be a better way to hear what we create the living space in our dorms and in the values and ethics they believe in, they quickly assembled a committee and submitted a policy change amendment, which was only possible after many disagreements, many frustrations, peer edits, and passionate meetings. SEGL Poll 2018 is unique because there's a great sense of coherence in each student among what they believe, what they say in classrooms, and how they act in the community. This semester was a crystallization of their passion, love, and care for each other. Through their actions, they impact their peers, community, and then the world around them. This is what I believe leaders do. It's a little sad that I have to give up my privilege to see these astonishing moments that makes me believe the power of community crafted by these strong individuals. But tomorrow is looking brighter to me because I know they're going to go back to their home community and start taking actions to impact the world right now.
So this past semester, I've been asking one big question, like all the time. Will the circle be unbroken? So here's a little part of that song. I was singing with my sisters, I was singing with my friends, and we all can sing together because the circle never ends. And I think that really shows how great our community is at sticking together and caring, as Shizuka said. And I know that no matter what, no matter where, north, south, east, west, we'll always be there for each other. Whether it's through the small things like brushing my teeth with Molly every night, or singing with Courtney and Parker, just like listening to music with Chris. Like we'll always just share those small moments and cherish them forever. So I want to thank everyone who has been a part of my journey in this semester. I want to thank my parents for allowing me to come here to have this great experience, and my teachers for supporting me, and my advisors, Shizuha, for asking me these tough questions, and just everyone who has been a part of this great experience.
John Curtin.
Before I came to SEGL, I was always that guy in class who would sit in back and not really say anything at all. Now that I'm at SEGL, they've taught me that I have the voice, I have the ability to speak my ideas, and show the world what I really believe in, and make sure that my ideas are heard. To thank for that, I owe to the faculty and the students. They formed such a great community in which to build this vital part of myself, and I don't think I could have done it without them. Thank you.
Hannah Herman.
Good morning. Welcome, friends and family of the Fall 2018 class, and congratulations. I would like to start off by noting a very profound work of art, one that many of you Fall 2018 SEGLers have referenced countless times. Yes, we all know what I'm going to say. The B movie. Even though this movie received a 6.1 out of 10 rating on IMDb and a 50% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, Your cohort has decided that this movie simply is the voice of your generation. For those of you who don't know, the Bee Movie was a popular 2007 DreamWorks animation in which a bee named Barry B. Benson, voiced by Jerry Seinfeld, obviously, finds the daily prospect of working with honey completely uninspiring. He decides that he wants more out of life than the inevitable career choice that most of his bee friends and family end up pursuing. One day, Barry B. Benson flies away from the hive and breaks the cardinal rule of beedom, talking to a human. He forms somewhat of a friendship with her, something that is a complete no-no in the bee world. And through his time spent outside of the hive, Barry B. Benson discovers that there is an entire industry out there profiting off of the bee's honey. To his horror, he finds that anyone can buy the bee's precious resource at their whim, and realizes that his true calling in life is to stop this injustice and set the world right by suing the honey industry for what he views as unethical behavior. So, why did this movie mean so much to so many of you? Well, I have a few theories based on some of the choices you all have made this semester. One, like bees, your semester has an exorbitant amount of energy. Where you direct your energy matters. You can sting for temporary satisfaction, or you can make honey. While the quick fix of stinging in response to difficult conversations or strong emotions may have been tempting at times, you all made the choice to use your stamina to buy into your SEGL experience, a choice that I hope was surely worthwhile. Whether you decided to attend art exhibits, get at line at 5:30 a.m. to attend Supreme Court hearings, or pay your respects to George H.W. Bush's lying in state, you all have played a part in ensuring that your buzzing energy reserves were well spent. 2, it didn't logically make sense for Barry B. Benson to jump outside of his comfort zone and talk to a human. How scary that must have been, and how much easier would it have been to play by the beehive rules, fly past her, and be on his merry bee way. In that moment, he took the road that felt uncomfortable and ended up sparking an unlikely friendship with a human companion. Throughout the semester, you all have formed relationships that may or may not have surprised you. Coming from different places and backgrounds, being friends with someone who appeared more similar to you or may have felt safer, might have felt like a safer choice, and a choice that you all opted out of. Finally, when Barry B. Benson realizes that he may have miscalculated the implications of his actions during the lawsuit, he didn't let his pride get the best of him. He changed his course. At times, your semester used your energy in ways that may have felt right in the moment, but later proved to be unproductive. When that happened, you took these moments as learning opportunities to inform what type of leader you wanted to be in the future. The narrator in Bee Movie states that according to all known laws of aviation, there is no way a bee should be able to fly. Its wings are too small to get its fat little body off the ground. The bee, of course, flies anyway, because bees don't care what humans think is impossible. Well, some may say that 23 high schoolers changing the world is as idiotic as a little bee body getting its fat little bee body off the ground and flying, but that simply is not the case. You all have, and you all will change this world. Channel your inner Barry B. Benson and fly through life, always remembering that.
So I have no idea how to follow that. You know, throughout this semester, like, I've really come to know how different people can be and just how varied our experiences are. But at the end of the day, we all share this bond that we will carry through the rest of our lives, and we'll always be able to share these memories. And I love all of you guys so much for sharing this with me. And I'm so thankful for my parents for letting me leave home for an extended period of time. And thankful for all the faculty for, helping me stay here and be sane, get my work done. And for that, thank you.
India Glenn.
Okay, well, as the entirety of this semester knows, I have just kind of been crying for a majority of this morning, and that is for a couple of reasons. When I first came here, I came with this belief that I was a very complete or relatively complete person, and I knew who I was, and my way of looking at life was okay, or it was good enough. And that way of looking at life failed to take into account the value of learning about other people's experiences and really using that to enrich my perspective and my take on life. But just in coming here, we all come from different backgrounds, different places that aren't even in the United States. Shout out to me, I'm just from Belize. And with these different backgrounds, we all bring something special to the community that we were trying to create here, and I think ultimately that we were successful in creating. And that is one that is unified, and one that values each and every individual. I know that's something we struggled with, I think, for a time in our semester, was trying to create that community while still maintaining that individuality. And I've been saying this over and over again just in the past couple of days, but there are no words, there's no way for me to express the level of gratitude I have to every person here, that includes the faculty, and also includes my mom, who I love so much. I love you, Mom. There is no way to ever portray or fully explain how much this community has done for me in terms of helping me understand that we all bring something special. No matter where you come from, we all have something to learn from each other. And maybe my academic grades suffered as a result of that, because I was like, I'm going to talk to people and be very engaged and not finish Albert I.O. But I'm really sorry my kids still haven't finished. I really want to thank everyone for this wonderful experience that we've had. You're all beautiful people. You're all valuable. I love all of you, and I will call all of you. I was telling a couple of people this. I do not like to text. I like to call. My mom is happy to hear that. So, yeah, just thank you so much. I love all of you. Thank you for letting me come here, Mom, and thank you, Maria, for accepting me. Thank you. I love all of you. This past Thursday, after Credo presentations were finished and everyone had a quick stretch break, we gathered in the parlor of the academic building to begin what I would argue is one of the most crucial challenges students have had to face all semester: fighting the forces of entropy. For our community members who are not as familiar with this, imagine you have 1.5 hours to deep clean 4 floors of a building where 23 teenagers and 12 faculty members have lived and worked for the past 4 months. Imagine what that looks like. On Thursday afternoon, students Swiffered, swept, dusted, organized, sanitized, and vacuumed the entire academic building to prepare it for next semester's cohort. I saw individuals carefully reorganize supply shelves, meticulously remove marks from the walls with magic erasers, and clean the kitchen from top to bottom so that it will be ready for the creation of Susanna's delicious meals again next semester. Thanks to their collaboration and concentration, students finished cleaning in record time and did an excellent job while they read it. The etymology of the word entropy contains 2 parts: the prefix en, meaning within or inside, and the Greek trope,
meaning change, turn, or transformation. It can refer to lack of order or predictability, as in a declining marketplace, or to the measure of the number of possible arrangements of atoms in the system. And maybe Alvin, you can explain that all to us a little bit better later. SEGLs. I would encourage you all to take a moment now to think back to a time in these last 4 months when you have faced a force of entropy. For some of you, maybe that was the crisis simulation, in which it may have felt like chaos ensued much more quickly than you might have liked, despite every effort to keep people, information, and timing on track. For others, perhaps the social venture project posed special stress due to not yet knowing who would be willing to invest in your idea financially or as a volunteer in the near future. And for some of you, the very concept of entropy may have been embodied by the uncertainty of knowing if you'd ever see the bottom of your dorm room floor again based on the number of clothes and items covering it. There were countless times this semester when each of you was faced with a situation that was inherently unpredictable. After SEGL, you will continue to face moments and situations that lack a clear sense of order. The question is, how will you react? What decisions will you make to work through these uncomfortable moments and come out better for it? If you'll allow me an extended metaphor for a moment, what inner transformation, remember the etymology from earlier, will occur within you in order to respond, or as a result of responding, to the forces of entropy that you meet? When you encounter moments of uncertainty in a boardroom, on a research project, in the White House, or at a local town meeting, remember the experiences you have had here and how you managed to work through them, even if it was challenging at first. Embrace the discomfort and allow yourself to reach out for help from those around you whom you trust most. Look around, SEGLs. You've got 22 peers in this room right now who will be willing to help, just as they did when you were unsure of how to proceed with your collaborative policy document or needed help fixing the vacuum again. You all have experienced shared moments of vulnerability and uncertainty and managed to work through them here together. Now go out into the world and face the forces of entropy head on. You are ready, and I cannot wait to see what positive change arises as a result. Thank you.
So during the first week of SEGL, Christian, my advisor, asked how I was doing, how I was feeling about being away from home and at the semester, and I just told him that I felt taken care of. And I can say that that's remained true up until this point and hopefully continues to remain true within this community. Whether that's from enjoying Susanna's delicious quinoa chili and vegan cornbread, which doesn't just keep you full, but it nourishes like your mind, body, and spirit all together. Or going on group advisories where we can just talk about how we're feeling and how we can interact with our peers more compassionately. And I really just want to thank my parents and my grandparents for always being a call away or a text away and always being there for me and allowing me to be here. And I want to thank the faculty for pushing me outside of my comfort zone and encouraging me to speak when they know I had things to say but was more hesitant. And I want to thank my peers and my classmates for listening, even if it took a lot of practice. Thank you.
Parker Haley.
So I really don't think there are any words to describe what the semester has been like and what my experience has been here. It's honestly been one of the most amazing experiences of my life, and I've been opened up to so many new opportunities, and I've met so many amazing people, and I'm so thankful for that, especially to the faculty for creating this community, and to my parents for encouraging me to come here, and Noah for providing us with this opportunity, and for all of the SEGLs for making this community what it is. So thank you to everyone. As Molly mentioned earlier, a typical day here at SEGL is packed, and I'm going to provide you all with a few more examples. One day, students went from prepping each other to go head-to-head with former White House Press Secretary Mike McCurry, to meeting with Aaron David Miller, advisor to 6 secretaries of state on Israeli-Palestinian conflict, to playing basketball and reading books with first and second graders. Another day, they went from taking a math test to pitching their social venture projects to a panel of faculty, to exploring the African American History and Culture Museum. And as someone who accompanies them on many of these adventures, I can tell you that these days are simultaneously exhausting and exhilarating. In the midst of all this running around, every once in a while we find ourselves waiting. Sometimes this waiting takes the shape of standing on the metro platform watching for the next train, surrounded by hundreds of other DC commuters. Sometimes we're waiting for the imminent arrival of a guest speaker, anticipation building in the room. Or sometimes we're waiting in a very long line to attend a Supreme Court case or to pay our respects to a politician lying in state in the Capitol building. Waiting around for something to happen can feel a little boring sometimes, regardless of how exciting whatever you're waiting for is. But each of these moments offers an opportunity, a chance to breathe, to step back from the rush of being in DC. And so many of you are constantly thinking ahead to the next thing. And while looking into the future is great, I would also encourage you to every once in a while stop and look to the present and appreciate the small moments we can so often miss. As you move on to the next stage of your life, don't forget to take advantage of waiting in line, whether to get coffee or to board the bus to school, to process everything that's going on around you. When you look back on those big moments at the Supreme Court, at the Senate, at the Capitol building, try to remember the times leading up to those moments when you were admiring the sunrise because we got up at 5:30 in the morning, or chatting with a classmate. I hope you always take a second to appreciate those small moments, and I hope they come to mean as much to you as the big ones.
Jalen S. Hargrove.
At first at SEGL, I was very reluctant to talk to people, just like, what if they don't agree with what I say? And I was like hesitant. I was like, I don't know if they're really gonna agree with me on this and things like that. And the more I started to communicate, the more I was like, wow, these my classmates are really special, and I should cherish what we have. And I do to this day now, the bonds we created, the late night talks, and I thank the faculty just always being there for me. And I'm really gonna miss you guys. And I'd like to thank everyone that made this possible, my family for supporting me. I love you, Mom. I love you, Auntie. I love you too. I don't know, but thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed this, and I'm gonna miss you all, really.
Eduardo Hinojosa Ibarra.
I still recall August 25th, 9 a.m. I arrived a wreck, hungry, tired. As you all know, I fell asleep when I got here. I recall that date and time perfectly, but I do not recall the time where I became the person I am now. It might have been progression throughout the semester, but I believe I'm not that same wreck I was, who was really scared of sharing his opinions, had this potential and he didn't know where to direct it, where to channel that energy, as Noah would say. And I feel like I found it with all of you guys. I feel like I found it with all the faculty, and I feel like I'm ready to go home, and I've changed myself and I'm ready to change the world. Thank you, Mom.
Lizzie Kildall.
All right. Someday, in the not so distant future, you will all be leaders in your fields, and I have perhaps never been so excited for any SEGL semester to be in positions of authority. You'll be in charge of hospitals and nonprofits, religious communities and corporations, newspapers and legislative offices and educational institutions. And when you are in charge of one of those things, there will be people who you are responsible for, and those people will drive you crazy. They will question your decisions and policies at every turn. They will notice all of your mistakes and few of your successes. They will put time and effort into changing the systems and frameworks that you have so carefully worked to craft. They will, in short, do everything to you that you have done to us, faculty, this semester. So the first reason I cannot wait for the day that you are all in charge of things is very simple: karma. If there is one thing I am confident you have all learned this semester, it is the ability to question authority. Again and again, it seemed there was something you disagreed with or wanted to change about SEGL. Why can't we protest at a Supreme Court nomination hearing? Why can't we visit certain rooms in the dorms? Why is your class syllabus the way that it is? Why can't we go shopping during exercise? Your ability to question the status quo, push back when you disagreed, and propose changes you thought necessary, to both my great annoyance and immense pride, has never been in doubt. I think a George Washington, as interpreted by Lin-Manuel Miranda quote, is apt here, though. Winning is easy, governing is harder. My comparative government students should know this. Revolutionaries who questioned the entrenched authority in Iran overthrew the Shah in 1979 and have struggled ever since to combine democracy and theocracy in a way that is satisfying to their own people. A frustrated British populace voted to leave the EU against the recommendation of most politicians in power from both major parties, and they have been grappling for the past 2 years to figure out if the change they voted for is even possible. Earlier this month, a new president in Mexico was sworn in, who has spent most of his political career campaigning as a man of the people against elite, untrustworthy politicians, and must now decide what to do with the thousands of desperate Central American migrants seeking refuge in his country. As I have thought about the word authority and your semester's strong resistance to it, I have come to realize that the root of the word is the same as the root of the word author. To author something can, of course, mean to write something. It can also more generally mean to create, to bring into being, to originate, to found. People in positions of authority are, therefore, people who have come up with an idea and put it out into the world. In the second half of our semester, you all authored some important pieces of work: a collaborative policy document, a social venture project, and of course, your credos. And in response to those things, you got some feedback in the form of notes from your peers, edits and questions from faculty members, and in one case, diatribes from a very scary pretend Secretary Mattis. So this brings me to the second and more important reason that I cannot wait for you all to be in charge of things in this country and this world, and maybe even outer space, depending on how your CPD recommendations go over. You are all just beginning to find the tricky balance between questioning authority and authoring something yourselves. It is a narrow tightrope to walk, but an important one. Your incessant questioning this semester may have driven me bananas, but it also made SEGL a better place and me a better teacher. Don't stop that when you leave here. But I hope you also continue to find the courage to be authors, in the big sense of that word, knowing that there will be versions of yourselves ready to criticize and poke holes and debate. You must have the confidence to know when to forge ahead regardless, and the humility to listen and adjust course when necessary.
We desperately need you to walk that tightrope. Good luck, Fall 2018. I will always be rooting for you.
I feel like we're gonna turn this eventually. When you encounter any single SEGL student, you'll find a very profound sense of maturity and a very profound sense of thinking about the world. And before we came here, I think that a lot of us spent that thinking alone and in solitude, and that can oftentimes be really depressing. But coming here, we're able to put our minds together and think together. And amidst all of the craziness, amidst CPDs and collaborative policy documents, amidst credos and trying to define what we believe, and arguing about whether or not one group of people should go into a hearing first, and then later on having that same decision impact who goes into the Supreme Court first, there's still a lot of thinking, and there's a lot going on together. And there's also a lot that goes on when we're back home, meaning back at the dorms. Sorry, no, not home with you guys, not yet. Back at the dorms, you will find kids and people who just want to have dance parties instead of exercise, and kids who would rather have cooking competitions than discuss Brexit. And that's the other side of SEGL. You'll find kids. Some kids who are learning to be kids for the first time because we've been stuck learning and thinking profoundly by ourselves back home. And I think that's what is really special about this program, bringing kids together who are able to think together, but also be able to be kids together. And I'm really grateful to have had that experience. And I'm very grateful to my dad, who has worked his entire life to get me somewhere, and this is one of those places. And I'm also really thankful to every single one of the faculty who have changed my life truly in the way that I think. And every single one of these knuckleheads who have changed me and made me a kid again. And also changed me to make me an adult. And here I just changed the world. So I love you all, and thank you so much.
Margaret and Yoko.
Good morning. This place has changed my life. I've learned how to see, how to learn, and how to love. And I thank each of these students and each of these faculty members for that. I also thank my mother, who motivates me every day. She has worked so hard so that I could be here, and I want to work hard enough so that she won't have to work anymore. I also want to thank each of you, because without each of you, we couldn't be here, and each of you has played a role in encouraging each of these students, or maybe not encouraging each of these students to come here, but each of you has played a role in creating this amazing group of students here, so thank you. But I also think that each of us in this room has a responsibility. We have to encourage each other and keep each other accountable, because we have learned so much here, but it can't stop here. We gotta keep going. We have to take what we've learned and use it to actually change the world. So I'm gonna hold each of you to that responsibility. Thank you so much.
Wayne Dillon.
Thank you, Noah. I'm realizing that it was almost 4 years ago that Christian, your predecessor, phoned George Washington University to say that they needed a Latin tutor at some place called the School for Ethics and Global Leadership. To which we responded, huh? Well, I'm still here after almost 4 years, and we were fortunate to have a bumper crop of almost 20% of the current SEGL crew, not only wanting to take Latin, but having a good background and being able to read some excerpts from the language of various authors in the original literature. Now, the faculty, beginning with Sirianni, you gave me an opening to do etymologies, but I won't do them. What I'll say is, first of all, we're in a church this time, and it's the Advent season. So if you want to get close to the original story, it's never too late to start learning ancient Greek. But reflective of what we did together, the 5 students and I, we spent part of our time with the mythical hero Aeneas, sometimes called the founder of Rome. And I'm realizing now the real contrast with Henry V. And my first memory of SEGL coming into the building was the students there 4 years ago running up and down the stairs of the academic building reciting the St. Crispin's Day speech. But it was more like they were shouting it. Well, Henry V is a wonderful character as a historical figure, as well as in the fictionalized version of Shakespeare. He gets everything. He's this great young guy who wins battles and a kingdom and a princess. But then, of course, the real figure doesn't live very long after that, and eventually his kingdom descends into chaos. You can say he was an example of somebody who won the war, but helped to lose the peace, sadly. The hero Aeneas, whom we were reading about, is a Trojan. He's a loser. And he watches most of the people that he knew get killed. His king, his wife, his cousin Hector, the great Trojan hero. He barely escapes with some of his men. He has nothing less than the queen of the gods angry at him, Juno, and determined to kill him. But if you want to believe the myth, he eventually founds what becomes the greatest nation state of the ancient world. So he's a guy who could lose the war, but win the peace. So that's what I would leave you with. All of you, thanks. It's been great.
Next speaker is partner to Bud Crow, who many of you met this semester, was our first Golden Mug Award winner, and also Director of Strategic Partnerships, Nancy Goldman.
Every person in this room is part of something extraordinary. To be in the SEGL community is amazing. Bud Crow first met Noah as he founded 10 years ago, I guess, of the school. And it has been a joy to have a batch of kidlets arrive, getting ready to become SEGLers. Now it's 2 very different, it isn't even role playing, it's a way of being. And I want to be real strong in saying I am hugely grateful to the parents, to the faculty, and to the students. And it's for a couple of very specific reasons. One is the commitment to truth knowing. I have a bit of education behind me, but I've been having a lot of trouble sorting out fact from fiction. And here we are, committed to truth knowing. Now, Eagle Bud Crow learned the truth the hard way during the Nixon administration. And his commitment to taking responsibility for that which went south, went wrong, is quite amazing. It's really very unfunny. At the same time, Bud has a sense of humor that means the world to him. And the piece I'm grateful for is that all of you showed enormous grace when you went to meet Bud. Now, Bud I see as an eagle who's committed to the basic principles, ideals of our country. Having said I made a mistake, I accept the punishment, I'm not pointing to other people, put him on the road to eventually, about a dozen years ago, writing his book called Integrity. Good people, bad choices, life lessons from the White House. Life is quite an adventure, and sometimes the road is rough. With Bud, he is totally engaged with truth-knowing. He's still using vocabulary words that I don't even know. It's really quite intimidating. He's very focused on how we can learn and employ all the ideas surrounding truth-knowing. However, 3.5 years ago, he had a stroke, and so he's totally limp on the left side and not mobile. The part about the SEGLs that I just love is that you understand the combination of truth-knowing and connections. And you just showed wonderful grace in meeting and greeting Bud. He enjoyed it thoroughly. And he said, you know, they're all so confident, I was able to tease them a bit. And apparently, I wasn't there, I was in Indianapolis, but I was trusting that you all would have a wonderful experience and that Bud would appreciate it too. And it came off in a wonderful way. I knew from the night I ran down to your networking that there was something very specific going on with this group. I've never shaken hands and had so many do the immediate eye-to-eye connecting event. It was wonderful. And as a matter of fact, one of the boys even scared me because he looked all the way through and out the other side. And I was in the presence of several others. I wish you all the best being part of this community. You're ready to be SEGLs, and may you soar with the eagle.
My experience here has really just meant so much to me that I really don't think I can convey it all in one experience or one story or one anecdote, because it's really not just one little thing, it's a collection of a lot of moments filled with compassion and thoughtful discussion, and moments that just really prove to me how unique and special this community is and is to me. And so I just want to take this moment to thank my parents, my families who really supported me, and I felt really supported even though they were so far away. The faculty here who are phenomenal and redefine what learning and what teaching and educating looks like. My advisor who really kept me grounded and let me make the most of my experience and most of my community that I wanted to. And then, of course, my peers who are so special to me, and just I learned so much more than I thought I would from you guys, and it was just amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Catherine Nelson.
Oh, that's so silly. Okay. Okay, so a couple nights ago, I think it was a couple nights ago, I was talking to Shizuha, my advisor, and we were sitting in my room, and I was like, well, yeah, like, I'm sad SEGL's ending, and I wish we could stay for, like, at least a year, like, it deserves at least that much. And Shizuha was like, hey, you know, like, you can't do that, because, like, you'd be dead. Like, you'd be so exhausted. I'd be like, yeah, I guess I would be, because I kind of am now. when I went home for Thanksgiving, I finished all my homework that was due when I came back, and I didn't really have anything academic to do. And it felt just so empty and just awkward, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with myself. And like whenever people would ask me like, oh, are you like excited to come home? Like only have a few more weeks. I'd be like, yeah, like no, like I want to stay. And they're like, ooh, that's awkward. But yeah, no, the thing about SEGL is that it's just this perpetual motion, and nothing stops. It's like you finish the homework for the next day on a day-by-day basis, and like you try to get it done for like the next couple days, but like you just can't because there's so much. And it's like oh, the next week I have like SVPs and credos, and then like it kind of gets pushed off to the last minute, and then suddenly like it's 5 a.m. the day it's due, and then they're like sleeping on the couch, and it's like, ooh, what do you do? There's this like intense weight on my shoulders right now to say something extremely profound and just like astonishingly excellent, and I don't know if I can do that. But I just these people and this place, it means so much to me, and the relationships that I've made, it makes this place feel a lot like home, more like home than any place I've ever lived. So thank you guys.
Christian Starling.
Noah always lets me sit all the way down. He never gives me a warning. Hello, students. I feel as if I should be saying, welcome to English class. There we go. Good, thank you. This is actually not English class. This is actually the last time that I get to stand in front of this group. And the last time that this group, meaning this group, will exist in this formulation, right, where you all are my students. Ever again. So even though your academic program ended on Thursday, this is actually the last time I get to do the thing I do as a teacher, and the last time you really get to do the thing that you do as my students. Okay? What are those things, right? You give all that you have, and I take it, and we look at it and we analyze it, and I give it back to you, something even cooler with. It's the basic flow. That's how it goes in class. So here's the thing that you've given me most recently that I'm going to give back to you today. I had an opportunity last night to sit down and read every single one of the cards that you all wrote for me, which was nice. And a theme emerged, right? And as an English teacher, I like finding themes. I like finding themes in texts. Okay. This is the theme I want you to consider. Okay? This is a theme that I saw a lot, and the theme was this: never again. Okay? This is a theme that emerged from all the letters I got from you. As in, this sort of thing will never happen to me again. Right? I will never grow as much in a semester, or I will never have as impactful an academic experience, or et cetera, et cetera. Right? It's a thing I saw. Okay? And I just want to tell you that you're mostly wrong, right, about that. Okay? There's one part that's right. You're right. I'm never going to be your teacher again in a formal setting. I'm never going to help you make your sentences hold hands, right, or manage tone, everything through word choice in a formal way. You want help with your writing. I'm more than happy to help you later on, right? But I'm hardly in contact with it, and that's okay. Right? This is the last. Like, I'm not going to be formally responsible for that anymore. All right. So you're right about that. Okay. I want to say this. The part you're wrong about is the idea that this is it, this is the peak, right? That this sort of thing can never happen again. And you're wrong in two ways. Okay? The first way is this: I actually hope that this was the best semester of your life. I hope that this is the best English class of your life, and I hope you have academic experiences that blow the class that we put together out of the water. I want this to be the best up to now, and I want there to be so many big and beautiful things up in front of you that you look back at English class from fall 2018 and go, that was pretty good. I've done such cool things since then. Right? That this is even better. Right? That's the first thing. First way you're wrong. The second thing that I want to point out to you is that what we do at SEGL it's special, right? But the idea is that it's also replicable, right? Another way of thinking about this is that SEGL English class, it's in you, right? Every room you go into, especially if that is a room where they are making laws or spending someone else's money or making a decision about other people's lives, it should be the Lacey classroom, right? You should walk into it and you should go, here are the big questions of the day. Here's my response. I have to answer these questions. And I want you to hear me whispering in your head, but what does this say about who you are and how you want to live your life? I want you to be doing that everywhere you go, okay? In short, you're wrong that this won't happen again. This is as good as it gets because SEGL only happens because of you, and you have it in you now. Hopefully, and the idea is that it's now wherever you go. Okay? I'm really excited to see what you do with what we've made here. And I have no doubt you're going to do really great things. So congratulations. I love you all. Thank you for loaning them to us for a semester so that I could pretend to, be their parent a little bit. They were wonderful. That's it.
Well, thank you, Noah, for making me go after Chris. Before we begin, I would like to thank my parents, my family, my teachers, and my friends. When we came here, there was one question we all asked each other, and it was, why did you come to SEGL? We all gave the generic answers like wanting to experience academic success and wanting to be around other motivated students. But I think it's more important to acknowledge how we're leaving. Last night, as I slept in Parker's bed, it was very hard for me to fall asleep because it was the last night we would be there. And a song came to mind. The lyrics, I don't want to close my eyes, I don't want to fall asleep because I missed you, and I don't want to miss a thing. By Aerosmith, don't want to miss a thing. But I did have to go to sleep, I did have to close my eyes, and I will miss you guys. And no words can express how thankful I am to have this opportunity to be with all of you guys for these last 4 months, and how much I will truly miss all of you. Thank you.
Tanisha Red.
Okay, so when I was trying to think of what to say, I just realized this is our goodbye, and I really hate goodbyes. So I decided, what is a goodbye, because that's what we think here. We think, what, why, we ask all these questions. So I looked it up. I said, define goodbye in Google, and it said, used to express good wishes when parting or at the end of a conversation. And I just want my fellow SEGLists, the faculty, all of you guys here to know this is not a goodbye because our conversation is not over. And no matter what, no matter how far away we live, no matter what happens in our lives, we will always have a conversation open for each other.
And I want to thank all of the people in the room that allowed all of my classmates to come here. I want to thank my parents for allowing me to come here because we had the ability to start these conversations and they'll never end. So thank you guys.
Maria, go great.
I watched everybody try to angle this correctly, and I'm just not sure what the best way to do it is. First, to the parents, thank you all so much for sharing your kids with us this spring, and thank you for listening and not freaking out when your child came home one day and said, you know, someone showed up at my school and told me about this crazy sounding semester program in DC. Thank you for letting them apply and letting them come. You are an essential part of the process, and I am personally very grateful for your support. All right, re-angling. Each semester, I try to come up with something to say that highlights the way in which this particular semester is different from others. You, SEGLets of fall 2018, have many habits and ways of moving through the world that make you unique. And my colleagues have detailed some of those already this morning. What I want to talk about might at first feel like a sensitive topic, and that is that you are not our usual cohort of 24 students. You have spent all but 1 week of your semester as a group of 23. As the head of admissions, I get many questions about the size of our school, and I'm well versed in the explanation of why 24 is such an ideal number. Not only is it the right size for our facilities and the conference rooms of the State Department and the Pentagon, but it is divisible in so many combinations. 2 groups of 12, 3 groups of 8, 4 groups of 6, and so on. This eases the collaborative nature of so much of our work, and there have been times this fall when having a group of 23 has meant having to plan ahead and adjust for everything from SRA pairings to 4x4s to CPD groups. But it occurred to me just a few days ago that 23 is a special number in a different way from 24. It is a prime number. Now, I'm no Mike Michelson, and I'm definitely no Farshad, and I'm certainly no Alvin, but I did a little research on the history of prime numbers and why they have fascinated and frustrated cultures across the planet for so much of recorded history. Euclid demonstrated around 300 BC that there are infinitely many prime numbers, but they decrease in frequency as they get larger, so they still feel like somewhat of an anomaly. Prime numbers, like 23, are special in the exact opposite from the way that numbers like 24 are special. Not only can they not be divided in many different combinations, but they cannot be divided at all. Except, of course, by themselves. I would argue that this semester, any threats to your unity as a group came from within. In difficult moments, you were the ones dividing yourselves. There were competing philosophies about the best way to be a unified group. Should we push for more all-in activities or allow people more time to be alone? Should we continue the tech-free experiment for the final week, or give people back their access to the world outside of SEGL? Who should get to go to the Supreme Court if there isn't enough space for all of us? As you navigated these questions and attempted to reconcile each of your individual preconceptions of what a community is with the realities of your peers' visions for that same place, you did the work that is essential to making a group of people indivisible. And so now, here you are on graduation day, feeling as unified as ever and uncertain about what comes next. In that feeling, too, we can turn to prime numbers for wisdom. Prime numbers can be lonely in the same way that you might feel a little bit isolated when you return home. I read a novel a few years ago called The Solitude of Prime Numbers by Paolo Giordano. There's a part in which the author explains, prime numbers are divisible only by one and by themselves. They hold their place in the infinite series of natural numbers, squashed, like all numbers, between two others, but one step further than the rest. They are suspicious, solitary numbers. Sometimes he thought that they had ended up in that sequence by mistake, that they'd been trapped. Other times, he suspected that they too would have preferred to be like all others, just ordinary numbers, but for some reason, they couldn't do it. When you return to your various corners of the country and to Belize, you might feel a little like a prime number. You are made up of basically the same stuff as everybody around you, but there is something slightly different, just different enough to make you feel it. But you are primed, as it were, for a glorious return with a newfound vigor and purpose. And you are in the prime of your lives, when your rate of learning about new issues is matched only by your energy to solve them. I will miss you, and I cannot wait to see what you will do next.
To be absolutely honest with all of you right now, I'm completely terrified. I'm terrified because in the building right next door, the metro commute, Blue Bottle Coffee, and in the academic building is where I learn one of the most important parts of my life, and that is the ability to care. The ability to care about myself, about my actions and their consequences, and the ability to care for others, this group of crazy kids over here, and the faculty, the ability to care about what I stand for and who I want to become. And I am forever grateful for being able to develop this part that will now define who I am. And I'm terrified, but I'm also confident that although I won't be in these buildings, I won't go to Blue Bottle Coffee with two other kids that I convinced to come with me. I won't be living and going to school with this group of kids and this group of teachers. I will take away a lot from them. And they'll continue to play a part in my life for as long as I live. Thank you so much to everyone who made this possible.
Hello, family, friends, fellow SEGLites, Jack and Eduardo. I would like to follow the example of Noah Bob and quote some Henry Day. This is from the St. Crispin's Day speech, which we were all forced to memorize. We happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. Now, whenever I think of those lines, I think of the second grade sophomore. Now, I might think about the second grade sophomore because we all chanted the St. Crispin's Day speech in a very cult-like manner quite before it at dinner. We might have actually said it during the sophomore, but those lines are so relevant. Although only Declan shed his blood, and although 4 members of Stern were not exactly with me, that day made me love everyone. Even if I thought they were vile, even if I thought their socks were vile, that day gentled their condition. And it made us a happy few, a band of brothers. I would like to thank everyone in Stern and everyone in this whole community for the friendship and the brother and sisterhood that we've created together. Thank you.
So I've been challenged. You've heard words of wisdom from the English department, and you can take those quotes. You've heard words of wisdom from the government. You've even heard words of wisdom from the math department from an unlikely source, but take it. Unfortunately, I'm from the science department, and we will see how this goes. When I think of physics, so I studied physics in college. One thing that most people the mistake that most people have when they study science is they tend to be like, so what's this definition? What does this mean? And they also say like, what do these, they're trying to get numbers out. And science really isn't like that. Science is about relationships. We talk about things like conservation of energy, which is this relationship between kinetic energy and potential energy. There's relationships between like how things move and how things weigh. And so the thing that you learn in science is, what are the relationships? I'm going to suggest that the same thing can be talked about with regard to SEGL. You could define SEGL by things like, this is a building, these are the two buildings we own. These are the courses that we teach. But ultimately, SEGL is about the relationships. And every semester, we have our students and faculty develop relationships amongst themselves, explore the relationships amongst themselves. And that's what this semester school is kind of all about. I hope that you have, as students, have enjoyed that process. It's going to be an ongoing thing now that you have developed relationships with quite loud, expressive students with lots of energy. You're going to go home to a group of people who have discovered the quiet of their house and sort of the enjoyment of, meals and sort of with conversations. And you're going to have to sort of find out how that all works together. There's always sort of a give and take. I have faith that it will all work out, but it is an adventure, and it will be an ongoing adventure for the rest of your lives. Congratulations.
Okay. So something that I think is so special about this community is that I can look around at all the students and know deep down that they're all going to change the world for the better, and we're all to thank for that. And I was thinking, and I know that this school is called SEGL and not SGL for a reason, because we're not just here to become these like leaders that are going to change the world. We're here to actually like think of the question of what this means about us and how we're going to live our lives and what our decisions actually mean for what we believe like deep within us. And there was a moment this semester when I was sitting at the Senate Judiciary Committee's hearing on the appointment of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. And after standing in line and debating for hours, we decided that we didn't quite know if it was worth it to protest an appointment that felt like a deep attack on everything we believed in, because we didn't know if it was worth it to face the consequences of the school and even the law. But the moment that we sat down, I knew that I couldn't leave that room knowing that I had sat face to face with some of the most important decision makers on that issue and people that I deeply, deeply disagreed with and done nothing. So there was a moment that I was sitting next to two of my classmates, and we all kind of looked around and we shared this moment of deep understanding where we all knew we were on the same page. and our drive and our passion and our unwillingness to be complacent in the face of injustice allowed us to take a stand that we knew was right and just. So today I look around at all of my classmates and I see that same drive, that same passion, and that same unwillingness in all of you. And I know that we're all special in a way that makes me hopeful for the future. And I know that I can look around and know that you'll all do what's right in the future. So thank you.
Archip Singh.
So roughly 4 months ago, I embarked on a journey from my home in Princeton. I didn't know exactly what lied ahead. All I knew was that I was coming to the School for Ethics and Global Leadership. On the first day, I walked in and I met these 22 other awesome people who I've just gotten to experience such a great time here. We just learned so much. So prior to me coming here at SEGL, I thought I knew about the world. I thought I knew how to analyze it. I thought I knew what was going on. But after coming to SEGL, I just realized how much there was that I still had to learn. On the first day, in fact, Noah told us that his goal was to provide us with the best possible opportunity. And that was the goal of the school. And today I can say that I'm very thankful for providing not only me, but all my classmates with that opportunity to really find a sense in ourselves and really see who we want to become in the world. And so with that, I just want to say that I'm very thankful. I'm also very thankful to my parents. They're great people. They love me very much. And they're one of the reasons that I'm here. I'm also thankful to my younger sister right there. I love you very much too. All right, next up, teachers. Let me just start off by saying I ask a lot of questions. And I know many of you have had to deal with my questions, but thank you so much for teaching me not only the classroom, but outside and having to deal with my sometimes pestering questions. Lastly, thank you all to my 22 other classmates. It just could not have been any better. I'm just so thankful to have spent these 4 months with you guys. Thank you all very much.
Mike Michelson.
As you've now heard a number of times, the Supreme Court has figured prominently in our semester. A few weeks ago, Allie and I, and all 23 of you, got up early, very early, on a Tuesday morning and walked one walk in the dark to the Supreme Court. It was an experience that you were all looking forward to, clearly, and it was something that I've done a number of times, and I never tire of this experience. But as early as it was when we got to the Supreme Court, there was already a line. 35 people were there in front of us. And this posed a problem, an ethical dilemma of sorts, one that I've experienced every time I've gone to the Supreme Court, and one which you resolved in a particularly unique manner. With so many people in front of us, it was unlikely all of us would get in to hear the full hour of oral arguments. And Allie and I decided that we'd ask you how you wanted to handle this potential dilemma. Excuse me. In previous trips, when faced with this dilemma, SEGLs have decided it was either an all-in or all-out event. There is a 3-minute line, and one option would have been for all of us to wait in a 3-minute line, which meant that we would have a less meaningful experience. We'd all get in, we'd all get to see the justices and get a sense of the case itself, but it would not be nearly as meaningful an experience as it would be if we got to hear the oral arguments themselves and sit in there for an hour. And you, in a way that I particularly appreciated, found this unacceptable. So after considerable discussions, you guys came up with a plan that would allow some of you the full hour in the court, but only a small part of the group was guaranteed to have that experience. Excuse me. The rest of us were guaranteed the 3-minute line. So we again have a dilemma. And the question was now, who would get in and who wouldn't? In trying to decide who would get in and who wouldn't get in, potentially, you came up with a list of things that you prioritized. Who was shortchanged at the Kavanaugh hearings and who helped organize the trip in the first place, which, and other related kinds of ways of distinguishing between one of you and somebody else. Ultimately, you tried to be generous, and I think we're very thoughtful about this, but it meant ranking us, all of us, in some form. And that's not something we typically do at SEGL. But you got everybody to buy in. Alan and I were shocked, frankly, that there was a consensus. And that decision took some guts. This was so much easier to say either we all get in or we all don't. But you felt that would be depriving at least a group of us of the most meaningful part of this experience. And why should any of you be, or at least some of you, be shortchanged with that experience? That just didn't seem just. And fairness has been an important theme to you throughout the semester. On Thursday during credos, for example, I heard many of you wrestling with the issue of how to make just decisions when confronted with an ethical dilemma. In any event, you made this bold decision. You just figured out a way to rank us in the case that not everybody could get in. And you got the group to buy in. And this required real leadership and compromise, and meant that all of you had to accept this decision, and you did. In the end, of course, we all did get in for the full hour, but in some ways that's beside the point. Your solution to this problematic situation was a unique challenge that you handled in a particular way that impressed me. And it was emblematic, I think, of your semester. You didn't always do things the easy way. You took risks, but you did so considering the entire group, at least usually. In other words, you took advantage of the SEGL experience and you learned something about leadership. And that's what we've been about all semester. It was quite impressive. Thank you. It's been a great semester.
Hi everyone, my name is Courtney White and I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. So a couple weeks ago, it was a Wednesday afternoon. We were all going to books and basketball, and I was kind of zipping around the line on a mission, not unlike a bee, actually, Hannah. And I was trying to convince as many 15, 16, and 17-year-old teenagers as I possibly could to come see St. Christopher Lithuanian Chamber Orchestra. Ooh. We all know that teenagers love classical music more than anything. And I was getting kind of dejected because I was getting like a couple of no's in a row. And then I get to Jalen. And I go to Jalen and I said, Jalen, you know, I noticed earlier today that you said that you weren't going to come to the Kennedy Center and see this performance. You know, what's your feeling? How are you feeling about this? And Jalen goes, well, Courtney, I also noticed that you were not going to come to the basketball game that I was organizing for our group. And I just sort of like stopped for a second. I was realizing, oh my gosh, Jalen is absolutely right. That is such a hypocritical thing for me to ask him to do it. So almost immediately, Jalen and I came to this agreement and said, Jalen is going to come to see the music of Aaron Copeland, and I am going to go and see the Georgetown Hoyas. And I think that it's fair to say that in both instances, we had a great time, and we were both exposed to something that was really new but exciting to us. And that story, the more that I think about it, really epitomizes the SEGL experience for me, and I hope for everyone here. David Foster Wallace, author of Infinite Jest, a book which many of us have pretended to read, once said that the most obvious and important realities are often the hardest to see and to talk about. The people behind me have taught me every single day which realities are the most important to me and which ones I want to prioritize in my life. You all are a bunch of goofballs and wingnuts and knucklehead spazzatrons. But above all, you guys are insightful, brilliant, goofy goobers. And I know that we're gonna rock this world. I love you all.
Our revels now are ending. The tide is washing the sandcastle away. And the time has come to say goodbye. And I know that for some of you, that is a scary proposition. You are right to think that. The world is a difficult place. It is full of hatred and fear and injustice and loneliness. But just like you, it is also full of potential. As Carl Wilkins said earlier this semester, in each one of us, there's such a potential for good and there's such a potential for evil. Yes, you should be wary of the potential for evil within yourselves and within those around you. But most of all, you should seek and cultivate that potential for good. That, after all, is why you came to this place. Now you must work together in your various corners of our country and Belize and wherever you will go after today to change our world for good. Shed some tears, get some sleep, and then go do it. And now a few closing words from SEGL Board Vice Chair.
Although I've been on the board for quite some time, this is the first graduation that I've been able to attend, and I'm absolutely blown away by what I've seen and heard. And I also know that I'm what is keeping you all from lunch, so I'm going to be very brief. First, I want to thank the parents, all of you, for entrusting your kids with us for this semester. We greatly appreciate that, and we appreciate your support in the many ways that you support your students and the school. And secondly, what I'd like to say to all of you is, we as board members, we meet and we sit in a room and we talk about budgets and we talk about educational policy and we talk about partnerships and how to keep the school strong and moving forward. And while we get to meet the students, we don't often get to experience just what SEGL is actually all about, and to really see it and feel it. And that's what I saw this morning, the sense of community, the way you've all stretched your thinking and your openness to new ideas and new people. And I want to leave you with one quote from Steve Jobs, who spoke at another graduation about 10 years ago. And he said this, and I think it's really good advice, which is, don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. And when you do, I know the world will be a much better place. Thank you.
This concludes our ceremony. Let me finish with these words. And when I'm finished, then you can join me in congratulating the graduating class of fall 2018 of the School for Ethics and Global Leadership. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Congratulations. All right, great. Thank you all. All right, so as we transition to lunch, just a couple of notes. I think that the food is going to be in Stern. We'll circle around the table there. As you're circling around the table, graduates, you may notice that your families have provided a number of your favorite desserts for today's luncheon. This is an SEGL tradition designed to be a reminder that as you leave SEGL, you are returning to families, communities, and friends who love and care for you. Thank you so much to the parents who helped carry this tradition forward. Is there anybody else who has anything else that needs to be said?
I just want to say that the students were great about making a recommendation to leave a little bit of a legacy, and so some beanbag chairs were recommended for the residential program, and they will be ordered. And then also the staff that you talked about, so amazing staff, also has money for professional development. So I just want to thank all the families that were able to put that together very quickly. $3,500 was raised. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Mario, and thanks to all of you. Oh, and you want to have a group photo here before we... All right, we'll do a photo and then we're going to go. Thank you guys so much.
One, two, three. Look at the camera.
Yeah.